Hi guys, I'm going to be teaching you via videos today because I don't want your class to get too far back. I'm expecting that you have your sketchbook out, and if you don't have a sketchbook, you get a blank white piece of paper. You will actually need one or two of them probably. Other things you're going to need are a pencil and a square piece of paper. The square pieces of paper should be provided to you in an envelope at your table. Once you have all of that, I want you to title the top of this page typography, just like I did. Now, one thing that's never acceptable in my class is to just simply write out the word typography like that, or any word just like that, as the title of a page. I want you to try and make it block letters or bubble letters and make it look more interesting. If you struggle with that, you can see here, I drew my letter T and then I just outlined around it, and then you can just go back and erase the inside of your letter after. And that's how you can do the top of your page. Also, please keep in mind that this is going to be graded, and it's going to be collected and put in the grade book, so please take your time and do a good job on it. We are going to use this on your sketchbook covers, and if you've already put like your name or any words on your sketchbook cover, we'll just chat next class. You don't have to stress out about it. And lastly, you can pause this video anytime and you can rewind it if you need extra instructions or help. Alright, once you have your title finished, underneath the title, I want you to number 1 and write typography is, and as you saw in the video, typography is the art of print or lettering. So it's literally how typefaces and fonts and whatnot are designed. Okay, now that you have the top of and the title of your paper done, I would like you to number 1 right here and write typography is. And as you heard in the video, typography is the art of print. Lettering, that's what it is. Once you finish copying that down, I would like you to please take your square of paper, and we're going to trace your square onto your paper 4 times. Okay, so my trick for tracing something like this is to hold it with one hand and then do quick outlines like this around the outside, just like that. Does not need to be perfect. It just needs to leave a little bit of space that you have to draw and write around these boxes. So we're doing 4 of them. Just like that. Okay. So now we're going to focus in on the first box. We're going to write number 2, and we're going to title this serif. Now, if you remember from the video, a serif is actually, like if you have a letter, it's actually the little headers and footers that are on the letters. So this, and I want you to draw this A, just like I just did. This is a serif. Right there. So to start, we're going to use the shape of our box, and we're going to do an A in here. So I want you to lightly sketch first a big A that touches your 2 corners. Almost touches your 2 corners. Comes down, and then once it gets down here, we're going to add the serifs on. So the top edge, like that. And then up at the top, we're also going to draw a line straight out like this for your serif. And we're not going to leave this like this. We're going to turn it into like a a letter that has sides, like your title, your typography title. So I'm going to use the edges of the box, and I'm going to bring my lines just like this, and this inside line is going to follow that outside line. I'm going to try and keep these two sides the same distance apart, and then I'm going to put the inside of my A in. And then up here we kind of have to make a little change, so we need to add in the serif, so we're going to attach it and then just build it out like that. So there you have an A in the style using serifs. Remember that these are serifs. If you're ever working on the computer or in a Word document or a PowerPoint or anything really, Times New Roman is the font that has that is best known for having serifs on it. There's lots of fonts that you can choose from in there, but that's kind of the main go-to one. Alright, so now we're going to go to the next box. So on the top of this box you're going to write number 3, and then you're going to write sans serif. Serif is S-E-R-I-F, and this is a regular letter without a serif. It doesn't have the header or the footer on it. Write this down too. It's important to know that sans is Latin and it means without, so it literally says without a serif. We're going to use our corners, and you can have an A that has like a flat top like this, or it can come to a point. Either one is fine, but we're going to use the whole box. I'm going to sketch lightly first, never draw hard lines. Sketching my A out. And I'm going to use the bottom of the box, and notice how I'm doing what I do to one side, I do to the other. I'm erasing where I need to erase. The trick is to make these two lines kind of look like if this weren't here, it would just continue. And that's a sans serif. Alright, box 4, technically box 3, but number 4, is going to be a script. Now, in this box, script is things like cursive or fancy calligraphy writings, and you see that type of fancy writing on diplomas, wedding invitations, and really formal documents. It's not something that's used every day. It's saved for special occasions. So they don't really teach cursive in school anymore, but when you're doing script, it's kind of like your letters tend to run into each other a little bit. A script A would look something like this, more decorative, and it can also look like a giant version of a little a. We're going to try this one, and pretty much if you can look at the difference between a regular A and this one is they're very similar, but this one leans more to one side, so we're not doing a regular one, it's going to lean. So first thing we're going to do is sketch out lightly. And notice it leans to more of this right side of the box. There, it's sketched. Okay, so I'm going to be drawing on both sides of this letter because I don't have enough space to draw my hook out here, so I'm going to use this side. Kind of like a Nike swoosh. And I'm bringing it up and attaching it, and this is going to get erased. I'm going to thicken this up down here, picking it up here, and then kind of connecting on either side of this line. To a point down there. It's important to erase this line because otherwise it's going to look really funny if it goes straight through this side of my letter. And then this gets finished off over here. Just like that. I'm going to erase that edge. Okay, so that's how simple script is. You can do any letter like that. you pretty much just want them to like lean a little bit, or you can add an extra curve. Like an E can be like this, or it could be more like this. I mean, an S could just have like more curves in it. Things like that. Pretty simple. T, if you get the drift, they just have curved lines. And then in this last box, you're going to choose any letter and any style to do it. My only rule is it must touch your edges. Or the corners of the box. And that's all for that one. And then you'll be almost finished this page. Once you do this box, I want you to go back and shade in these letters nice and evenly. By the way, it's really hard to shade with a mechanical pencil, so I suggest you using a regular pencil. I tried to do it and it doesn't work very well. You get the lead in these kind of pencils is wider and it's just easier to draw with for shading and blending. I do expect you to stay in the lines when you're trying to shade this in. And one of my suggestions would be to try and thicken up your edges first and then shade through an area like this, because then it's easier to stay inside the shape. I'm all about design and neatness when it comes to your work. You can shade it in. The other thing you can do is, like, if you would rather do patterns or something more interesting, you could draw some patterns inside your letters. You get the picture. It would look something like that, but I expect them all to be filled in one way or another, and that you take your time and do a good job on it.